They say great work requires great results. Good people put that work in with Jutame Fit. Personal instructor Rob Ski, certified in nutrition and fitness. Good people, tell them Blanco sent you. Good people, what's rockin'? Sonny Blanco, I got a story to tell you, heard? Today, we gon' get into one of my favorite eras, right? One of my favorite eras, where the men were men and the women were women, where everyone from head to toe was fly and flee, you heard? Regardless of the bankroll. Today's presentation, chess, not checkers, detailing Chicago blues and its pioneers. Good people, you already know what it is, right? You already know what it is, right? Hey, yo, listen, grab your popcorn, grab your drinks, grab your get right, cause it's movie time, you heard? Enjoy the presentation. Chess, not checkers. The powerhouse that made chess records and the Chicago blues scene. Good people, it's only right that we start episode 1 with the person who put chess records on the map, the father of Chicago blues, McKINLEY Morganfield, better known as Muddy Waters. Born April 4th, 1913, Issaquah County, Mississippi, to mother Berta Grant and father Ollie Morganfield. His mother dying shortly after birth, young McKINLEY was raised by his grandmother, Della Grant, who gave McKINLEY the nickname Muddy because as a child, he loved to play in the muddy waters of the Deer Creek. Years later, McKINLEY added waters. As a child, like most back then, Muddy had to quit school early and work sharecropping and farmhanding, which was just a step above slavery.
Little kids, 10 years old out there working on the farm.
By 1920, Granny Della packed it up with young Muddy and moved 80 miles north to STOVALL Plantation near Clarksville, Mississippi, to sharecrop on another plantation owned by Colonel Howard Stovall III, who had a reputation for being fair. Muddy got his feet wet being introduced to music through church. Muddy was quoted as saying, "I used to belong to church. I was a good Baptist, singing in the church. So I got all my good moaning and trembling going on for me right out of the church." End of quote. Although growing up in the church, Muddy was fired up about music with a different message. Muddy was quoted as saying, "The lady that lived across the field from us had a phonograph. When I was a little bitty boy, she used to let me go over there all the time. I played it night and day." End of quote. By the time he was a teen, music was a passion. After his Granny Della got her own phonograph, it was lit. Every nickel Muddy could scrounge up went to copping the latest records by his favorite blues singers and players. Teaching himself how to play the harmonica as a teen, he would perform locally. At the age of 14, Muddy had the chance to see the amazing Son House perform, playing the guitar with a bottleneck slide. Hey yo, it was over. He put down the harmonica and picked up the guitar, patterning himself after Son House, Robert Johnson, and Blonde Lemon Jefferson. Now Muddy didn't have an axe of his own, so from time to time, he would have to borrow a guitar. At the age of 17, he bought his very own guitar. Quote, "I sold the last horse we had, made about $15 for him, gave my grandmother $7.50, I kept $7.50, paid about $2.50 for that guitar." End of quote. Muddy, with that guitar, son got busy, hitting up all the local juke joints, shaking, making up to $2.50 a night. Muddy quickly saved up and bought a new axe Yo, son upgraded to the $14 joint, you heard? Now listen, gig money wasn't steady money, so Muddy still had to get it in however he could. Still sharecropping, farmhanding, etc. Muddy also dove into the underworld, word, making money as a fur trapper, selling the hides of minks, raccoons, and rabbits. Then old boy really got it popping for real. Muddy started making and selling his own whiskey. In August 1941, Alan Lomax, on the behalf of the Library of Congress, landed in Stovall, Mississippi to record the great American music known as the blues. According to Muddy, quote, he brought his stuff down and recorded me right in my house, end of quote. Now, it was said that Muddy was a little leery of a white man showing up out of nowhere, but Alan, knowing the racial discrimination in the South, he asked for a drink, and instead of drinking out of his own cup, he drank from the same cup that Muddy was drinking from. This, for a white man, was unheard of in the South, and it eased the tension greatly, and record they did. Muddy was quoted as saying, and when he played back the first song, I sounded like anybody's record. Man, you don't know how I felt that Saturday afternoon when I heard that voice, and it was my own voice. Later on, he sent me 2 copies of the pressing and a check for $20. I carried that record up to the corner and put it on the jukebox. Just played it and said, I could do it. End of quote. Good old Lomax returned in July of 1942 to record Muddy again. Both sessions were eventually released by Testament Records as Down on Stovall's Plantation. That was it for Muddy. 2 records, $40? Shit. The next year, Muddy got light. 1943, Muddy set foot in Chi-Town, working as a truck driver and playing gigs at night. Now Chicago ain't Mississippi, a bustling city, people everywhere, and loud, very loud. His little acoustic wasn't popping, so Muddy turned it up a notch, or maybe 1,000. Muddy plugged in, going from acoustic to loud electric guitar. Now Muddy wasn't the first with the electric slide guitar. That claim to fame belongs to Sylvester Weaver, but Muddy's style and guitar licks was special to say the least. Around 1945, he gained a loyal following in a nightclub scene. Soon after, he caught the attention of Columbia Records. He recorded songs for Columbia, but they were never released. But all that would soon change when a talent scout from Aristocrat Records heard him. After a few unsuccessful records, Muddy had his first hit in 1950 with Rolling Stone. By the way, this is where the rock group Rolling Stone gets their name from. They were great admirers of Muddy. Cut for Aristocrat Records, but that was soon changed to Chess Records, led by the Chess Brothers. More about them later on in the stories. There were many people singing the blues, but mostly sad blues. Muddy had a twist, a sexiness to his blues, adding a pep to his step.
I think I'm the man that set Chicago up for the real blues.
Now, prior to the release of Rolling Stone, Muddy put together a band, his first band, second to none, known as the Headhunters, featuring guitarist Jimmy Rogers and harmonica player Little Walter. Good people, episode 2, we'll jump further into the story of Little Walter and Chess Records. Hope you enjoyed. Salute.